And welcome back to Hot and Cold Podcast. Woo, it's been a while. Me and Connor both got sick. So this is kind of my apology to start out the podcast. That's why we haven't been able to record. Neither of us could even really talk into a microphone without coughing the entire time, or you know how it is when you get sick. I'm blaming this 150% on Connor for getting me sick. Connor, will you take that blame and will you shoulder it?
I've gotten 3 people sick.
3 people. So
3 people.
It's not
2
the
last
vid.
time, 3 this time.
It's not the vid. It's not the Rona. It's something different. I don't know. You said it was the flu. I didn't. To be fair, I did not get tested. I figured it out on my own. But you went to the doctor. It was not the vid, right? Correct?
Yes, I was going to try and get a prescription because I thought it was sinus infection.
Yeah.
And they did like a flu COVID test, which tune out audience if you don't like it, but it made my nose bleed and it like got all over the floor and it was a disaster. It was awful.
Oh yeah. From a guy from a guy who gets a lot of nosebleeds. I think that this is part of the reason I like Luka Garza a lot, because when he played at Iowa, I feel like every game he had a nosebleed. And from a guy who gets a lot of nosebleeds, sometimes of the years it's every day. And so I liked that about him, and I think he was showing out for this population that gets no love. So we can actually talk about college basketball now. I know that was kind of the intro. None of you really wanted to hear, but we have a lot to talk about. It was not the best week to get sick, correct, Connor? It was not a good week to get sick whatsoever. There was a lot of basketball. There was a lot of storylines that we missed out on, but we'll retroactively kind of go over them a bit. I do want to start off with Kentucky and Indiana. So I believe we're 2 games behind in both teams, correct? There's 2 games we haven't talked about with both teams. Last time we recorded, we were coming off a loss by Kentucky to Duke, which was okay, whatever. But I like where Kentucky is better than I did before the Duke game. I think this team is better than I thought they were. We can get into that in a second. I do want to start off with Indiana because they're one of the teams, in my mind, there's about 4 or 5 teams that I think have surpassed expectations thus far, and I think Indiana is one of those teams. Granted, they haven't played fantastic competition. I think St. John's is a good team. I think Justin Chimpini, he's really good. Posh Alexander, great perimeter defender, didn't really get it going against Indiana. But I mean, that's a good team, and Indiana really played well against them. But Connor, this is your team. I'm going to let you kind of spout off on what you think about them.
Yeah, I think St. John's. I think they make the tournament.
I will say about St. John's, their coaching is awful. The sets they were running, they looked lost in the first half. They had no idea how to run a half court offense. It was only ISO.
You know why?
Why is that?
Oh, it's IU's defense.
Okay. Yeah. We can get to a term that we don't throw around lightly, but it may suffice for this team in a minute.
Oh, I think it has to. Okay. Because last night they forced Louisiana, who has a former 5-star and a transfer from St. John's as well. They missed 25 straight shots, which is honestly unheard of.
Yeah.
And it was honestly pretty funny just to watch it. But it's interesting. I mean, this is the team that almost you wonder, this is what Archie had planned this whole time, this defensive, hard-nosed team, but actually has an offense to kind of supplement that.
Sure.
And they've really got going. Trace and Race have been, the consistent guys on the team. It's kind of been in and out from a couple other guys. Parker Stewart got going against Louisiana. Xavier Johnson, it was his game against St. John's.
Mm-hmm.
Geronimo's been kind of in and out. He doesn't play enough to really get going consistently every game, but he, had his moments against St. John's in the second half. Lander He got going against
he did.
Louisiana. He's going to play more now because now Rob is hurt. Trey Galloway's hurt. He's out for a month. Miller Kopp had a good game against St. John's after I was kind of trashing him a little bit on Twitter.
Yeah, I think he really turned his season around, like completely, following directly after your tweet. Yeah, I think that was the kind of catalyst. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Kick him in the butt a little bit, but
I'm going to keep doing that to him. But, I think he just needs some confidence, needs to kind of get into the flow, fit in a little bit. The only other issue I have here is turnovers have been a problem.
Yeah.
They had 27 turnovers in a 30-point win, which is honestly kind of crazy to think about. But that's that their guards are not taking care of the ball. Like you said, they haven't played good competition yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to turn the ball over a lot against Syracuse.
Syracuse is bad. Syracuse is bad this year. Yeah, they took a
Syracuse,
loss.
Syracuse.
They took a loss to what team was it? I believe it was Colgate, and I think they lost by 20.
Hey, we like Colgate here.
We do like Colgate because they put up a lot of points, but I believe Syracuse did lose to Colgate by 20, if I'm not
They
mistaken.
Lost 100 to 85.
Yeah. Syracuse may be bad. Maybe we
also, again, this is the formula to beat Syracuse. This is why their record is never as good. They're never as good as they seem, but they're never as bad either, because this is what they do. Colgate shot 43 threes.
Yeah.
43.
I mean, that's how you beat a zone. Yeah, that's how you beat a zone.
18. They had two separate guys had 6 threes. I mean, and Syracuse didn't shoot the 3 well. So that's I don't know how IU is going to do against them, just because I don't think they're going to be able to make 18 of them. I mean, Parker Stewart had 6 last night by himself, but
he's also timid. He's also Parker Stewart he's shown he can be a little timid from behind the arc. And I think he went 2 games without hitting the 3?
Yes.
Yeah. So
not very many shot attempts from him.
Yep. So I hopefully for your sake, hopefully he does start taking them, because that's the only chance you guys have against that, Syracuse defense. But what I will say is the smothering tag. This is something that we value. I think we only gave it out to 3 teams last year. Don't make me try to Houston, Baylor, and one other team. Tennessee. Yes, those were the 3 teams that got our smothering tag. So far this year, Indiana is deserving of it, I believe. And I don't hand that out, but they are. I would put Marquette there, maybe. They took a bad loss last night, but to St. Bonaventure, who's also, by the way, great team. So yeah, I like having Indiana be a smothering team. I thought they would be more offense and defense this year. So, but I mean, where Sam was wrong right there. So we can kind of transition to Kentucky, and then we'll get into the more macro, national podcast that we are. Kentucky, so we haven't recorded in that might have been 3 games. So they played against Mount St. Mary's, they played against Robert Morris, and they played against Ohio. So Ohio in that game, the other 2 were blowouts, but in Ohio was giving them the work in the first half. Here's something that Kentucky has not done well at all this season. They don't get off to good starts. They don't start off with the lead. They start off kind of slow, kind of taking some bad shots. Foul trouble last game with Oscar Tshiebwe, and you saw the effects of that. No Lance Ware, he was hurt as well. And so we were running Keon Brooks at the 5. And you could tell it was kind of hurting them. They gave up 38 points in the first half. They were up 40-38 at half. But here is where I don't think Cal is getting enough love. And you can give it to Orlando, Chin, whatever. I don't know where exactly catalyzes from, but their second half adjustments this year have been fantastic. You saw it against Duke. They started off the second half against Duke. Fantastic. They did. And they obviously lost it going down the stretch a bit. But and against Robert Morris, they really opened it up. Against Mount St. Mary's, they went on, I think, a 17-2 run. And then against Ohio, they ended up winning that game by 20. So I mean, I will give Cal his credit there. I think Cal gets a lot of hate for, he just kind of gets the guys on the court and then he doesn't really do anything with them on. He's not a great, actual basketball coach. And I think this year he's shown differently. I think he's actually shown a lot of progress in making sure his guys are ready. Connor, do you want to rebut that? Do you have anything to say about that?
The only thing I'd say is Ohio is good. I think.
Yeah.
Like I think they are good.
Won a tournament game last year. Beat Belmont this year.
They beat Belmont this year already. I think that they're probably going to make the tournament and be one of those mid-major teams. Wouldn't be surprised if they win again, win a game in the tournament. That wouldn't surprise me, but it's kind of been interesting. Kentucky and Indiana are like inverses right now. Like Indiana's been having the good starts, bad second halves, barely being able to hang on and finish against St. John's, and then Kentucky's kind of the opposite. So I don't know how that's almost an intensity type of thing to me. Like it seems like Kentucky just comes out flat, and IU does the same thing in the second half. They get kind of complacent. They have lead. They're going to be fine. They kind of let off the gas. I think that's when Kentucky is like really putting it on people. So that's just something to look out for.
And I think that it stems honestly from Severe Wheeler and Oscar Tshiebwe. Those are two guys who work their asses off. You can just tell by watching how they play. They work their asses off in the gym. They understand nothing is handed to them. They understand that they come from West Virginia. Bob Huggins, playing under Bob Huggins, not easy. And then Severe came from Georgia, where he was fighting every game. So, and by the way, I think we have a storyline that we kind of missed the jump on. The Bob Huggins thing about Oscar Tshiebwe. Did you hear about this?
Mm-hmm.
Bob Huggins
not actually
came out and said in a press conference that Oscar Tshiebwe didn't work at West Virginia because he didn't put in enough work in practices. He didn't put in enough work anytime he was on campus or whatever. And now he's averaging 20 rebounds a game. He's working his ass off in the paint. He obviously that is not true. So there a little bit of a storyline coming up a little bit. So Oscar Tshiebwe's got that chip on his shoulder. So we'll watch that. We'll watch that unfold. But Kentucky, the most impressive thing about that game against Ohio, Oscar Tshiebwe, 0 points against Ohio. Kellen Grady, 0 points. Severe Wheeler, I think he had 10. And then it was guys like Ty who we were worried about in the first game. Yeah, he has 20 and 12. And then Keon Brooks, 22 and 8. Like those other guys stepped up. And that's what I think is huge about this team. We talked about them not having a clear-cut star. When other guys aren't having their best games, these guys are stepping up. And I think that's huge for this team. I am interested in watching Kellen Grady, though, because Kellen Grady is a guy that everybody was penciling in. Maybe he's the SEC Player of the Year, but he hasn't been getting shots. It seems like he'll hit a couple threes in the first half of most games, and then they'll just go away from him. So I will be interested to watch that and see if he kind of gets more involved as the year goes on. Who knows? Because I like him as a player. I think he's a fantastic shooter, fantastic scorer. Hopefully he gets that into shape. Now let's kind of talk about more nationally, because I think since we've talked, Wes, I think we've been wrong and we've been right on a lot of teams. I think the first team that we were wrong on, like very wrong on, is Ohio State. This is a team we've talked about a lot. I think I had them finishing number 2 in the Big Ten, I believe, which was ludicrous. I don't go back and look at my Big Ten list because it was ludicrously bad. But Ohio State is not good. They are not a good team. They're big. They're bad. Their big men are awesome. Zed Key and EJ Liddell, that's a really good 1-2 punch because you get the offense, you get the defense, but then inexperienced guards that are not ready to be starting at that level. Dwayne Washington coming back would have helped them a lot. And they suck. Like they can't keep up with other teams' guards. They are in a shootout every game because of it, and they can never blow out anybody. But that's my opinion on it. What about you?
It's interesting. I was looking at their lineup for one of their games, and like Justice Suing was coming off the bench, and I don't know why. I don't know if they're just having like a change of heart because he started last year, and they're down 5 to Seton Hall right now, which Joey Brunk is now starting. Which, wow.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
I just their guards aren't good. Um, they're not getting any production out of those guys. I think Liddell obviously he's been fine. He's been everything that we've expected, but Kyle Young's not starting either. Like it's just weird. They've got these guys, but they're not playing from last year. Like the only guy they really lost from last year was Liddell. Everybody else came back, and Dwayne or not Liddell, Washington. And I don't know what's going on with this team. I don't. I think they're gonna get over the hump here and figure it out in the Big Ten play, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's really going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, man, because I was really high on this team. I think I kind of fell for the banana in the tailpipe a little bit from how they finished off last year. But I mean, like, I don't think I really put in my mind how much they lost from Dwayne Washington scoring. I don't think I really put that through my head, and it's showing early. It's showing very early. Another team that we were wrong on staying in the Big Ten a little bit. I wouldn't say I was wrong because I picked them to win the conference, but we kind of put a clear cut ceiling on them, and it's Purdue. I think Purdue is very good. I think watching them. Okay. I'll let you go. But um, I mean, watching them early, it looks like they can beat anybody in the country with their bigs. I think that's true. You play against North Carolina, a team who has very good big men in Dawson Garcia, Armando Bacot. They have Brady Manek coming off the bench. It's not easy to out big UNC. That's exactly what they did. And then obviously Jaden Ivey is kind of putting that to work too against UNC. He had 22, 10, and 6. I mean, that is the best guard maybe in the Big Ten. Maybe one of the best guards in the country. So I think Purdue is a lot better than we gave them credit for. They walk in against Villanova, and we can talk about Villanova in a second, along with this game. And they absolutely just dominated their big men inside. I mean, Zach Edey had 21 points. Caleb First, the freshman, 12 points. And then again, Jaden Ivey, 10, 7, and 7. I mean, they can do it in any manner possible. They can beat a team in any manner possible. And Villanova is no slouch. They're not a slouch whatsoever. I like Purdue, and I want to take the ceiling that I gave them off. I think they have a chance at the Final Four. I wouldn't put them in, but I think they have a chance.
I mean, what?
You're still on it. Am I overreacting?
No. I mean, it's fine. They've beaten 2 quality opponents, but I don't know. Isaiah Thompson's shooting really well right now. The only reason they beat North Carolina, if you look back at it, is Sasha Stefanovic had like 6 threes.
Yeah.
Like it's been a guy every game that's gone off from 3, and they've shot the 3 ball really well to start the season. And Caleb First is shooting like 70% from the field right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's going to continue.
Their rotation is one of the most, I'm not making fun of it because it's obviously worked. One of the most interesting in the country, I'd say. Travion coming off the bench, starting first over him. It's weird.
I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on them. I just, they have these teams that are like this, and they still don't do anything in the tournament. So I'm not gonna like make a Final Four claim yet. or even an Elite Eight claim yet, because
Okay.
North Texas.
North Texas. Okay. You're still using that. North Texas. That's fair. That's very fair.
That's the
I
only thing
can't
I can
believe.
use.
Oh,
That's
that's
the only
fair.
thing I
I
can
mean,
use.
I get it. Like it's a different team. Not really, but like it's the same guys, but it's a different team. Everybody's really playing a lot better than they did last year. They're actually dominating opponents. And they didn't really do that last year. They were always in close games. They pulled a lot of them out, unless it was at Purdue, of course, but they always pulled them out. But I mean, it's a little bit different. It's a different feel. It's fine.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give them that. It's different. They might make it to the round of 32 this year.
And that was a good soundbite. All right. UCLA is another team. We didn't give our award, and I'll get to Villanova again in a second, and it's you kind of see the trend I'm going in. UCLA is dominant. I was wrong. I was kind of wrong. I like this UCLA team a lot. I watched them against Villanova in probably the best game of the season. It may go down that way. I can't see another one really going past what they did. Am I
probably
wrong to
not.
say?
Probably not in the
Yeah.
regular season at least.
And I mean, they came back from behind. Johnny Juzang stepping right back in where he left off. He's incredible. I don't know what happened from his time at Kentucky to now, but now he's averaging 22 points early in the season, sure. But he's averaging 22 points. Jaime Jaquez playing really well as well. So this team is hard to beat. This team is extremely hard to beat. I am putting them over Gonzaga. I am. I'm putting them over Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga's good. They kind of, but again, Texas got destroyed by Gonzaga. They did. Texas looked awful though. They looked very bad. They had no answer for Drew Timme. Their offense wasn't great. There's your Marcus Carr guy. Marcus Carr is kind of proving you right a little bit, and they look terrible. I think against UCLA, with that team last year, Gonzaga, UCLA, best matchup of the year last year. Everybody remembers it. This UCLA team would have won that game by 1,000 points. I like this team so much more than I did last year's. And I personally would put them at number one right now. That is my opinion. Recency bias, bad. Absolutely everything I've said in that opening statement has been recency bias, but that's what I'm supposed to do. So go ahead.
I mean, I think it's fine. I think there's three teams that you could probably put in the top three. It's Gonzaga, Purdue, and UCLA. And
right.
I think if you ask 10 different people, you get different answers from everybody. It would fluctuate. People would have Purdue at one, people would have UCLA, people would have Gonzaga. I mean, those are the three. I think that's like the tier. Like last year, was the clear cut first two teams, and then there was everybody else.
And remember last year, that third team would always fluctuate. It would be like, okay, I'm ready to put Michigan in the tier. Are you really? Okay, I'm ready to put Illinois in that tier. Really? Like kind of stuff like that. But I think it's three this year. Yeah.
I think it's three. I think there is a big gap after that. Like Texas was 5. I don't think, Villanova, I don't think they're in that conversation because they have 2 losses, so they can't be in there right now. They're another one that comes to mind. I mean, hey, props to them. Their schedule has been absolutely brutal to start this year. And
now the Big East looks good. Now the Big East looks good. Yeah. I mean, they're dominating the Big Ten in this challenge, which has been insane. And you wanted to get to the Big Ten. We can in a minute. But I do kind of want to expand on Villanova. So we were guys that, put Villanova in our Final Fours. And I think that's fine. I think they can still do that. They're probably the best coach team in the nation. There is a cap to Villanova. I think they'll blow out teams that they should blow out. I don't think they're a team that's going to get upset. But there's matchups that they can't handle. Like they blow out the Tennessees, who are If they make a mistake, Villanova will be there for it. Like, they're just so fundamentally sound. They'll beat these, younger teams. But when they run into an experienced team who has really good bigs, they won't win. They'll play a hell of a game. And both of those games against UCLA and against Purdue, they played great. I'm not saying they play bad at all. But I mean, they have a cap, and it's obvious. They're a consistent team. They'll give you a game every time, but there's just teams they will never beat on any circumstance. So again, I'm not counting them out of the Final Four. If they get a good bracket, yeah, they're going to run through it. But you give them one team that's overbearing. Like, I don't know if they can beat Duke. I don't know if they can beat Kentucky. I don't know if they can beat a Kentucky team at the end of the year when Ty Washington's got it going. I don't know if they can win that game. So there's a cap to where I think they can be at the end of the season. I think this is the Villanova we will have at the end because they're just so experienced and that what you're getting out of them. Do you kind of agree with that? You kind of get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think the thing that I point out is they just struggle with size.
Oh my gosh.
They're not a very big team. So
not at all.
Go up against like a Gonzaga or a Purdue.
They won't win those games.
North Carolina. I mean, those teams are big teams. And I don't think that's good for them. I mean, I was watching part of the Purdue Villanova game and they just couldn't rebound. Couldn't get defensive rebounds. And if they have to go against a team like that in the Elite Eight, even the Sweet 16, they play a team that's, like a 4 or 5, but still is really tall and has those guys that have a lot of height, and they're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you look at that team, you watch them play. Every guy on the court looks the exact same size, and it's funny to watch.
And it's like fundamental players, but they're just not very big.
And I mean, that's no test. Jay Wright is maximizing their potential. Absolutely.
Yep.
He absolutely is. But last team. Does Michigan suck? Like, are we?
Yet.
You're not out on them yet. So they have 2 unranked losses. And again, that's arbitrary. Seton Hall's ranked now. Arizona would be ranked if they weren't on the postseason ban, whatever. But they got dominated by Arizona. They got handled pretty well by Seton Hall. Are we sure they're going to be good? Are we sure this is, a good follow-up to last year's team who was one of the best in program history?
They've gotten nothing from Devontae Jones.
Yes.
Which I said that was going to be the key for them. Scoring wise, he's got to be like their number 1, number 2, even they're in the top 3. Like, he's got to be able to score. And Caleb Houston, he's also really struggling. 38.5% from the field, 31 from 3. He's averaging 9 points. Like, he's struggling right now. Dickinson against Arizona, don't know where he was. 4 of 10, 11 points. Again, people want to put him in the same conversation as Trace. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. That may have been your best call. That because everybody was ready to put Dickinson above Trace.
I just don't.
They were ready.
Is not a guy that can carry. He's never had to be that guy. That is the number 1 option. Defenses are scheming for me and making their game plans based on me, like people have for Trace the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So now he's going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. That's a very fair point. I can't make a decision. I did this to Michigan early last year. I kind of put my done chain, like part of my take was I said they're done. So I'm not ready to say they're done because I feel like it's kind of a repeat from last year, and I'm gonna have to have that take all year. And I can't go back on it. So I'm not gonna do it this early, but they're on the edge of it because they just don't look impressive. And Arizona looks good. I'll give them that, but They don't look impressive whatsoever. But I mean, that's kind of the teams I wanted to get to. Marquette, if we would have recorded a day earlier, we would have been talking about Marquette. But I mean, they got
Yeah.
schooled. They got schooled. Illinois is a team who, they kind of took a bad loss, Kofi will be back, so don't freak out. But Curbelo looked bad. That's a little bit on Daryl Marcel. He's a great defender. Your Memphis Tigers. What sucks about them? Always on ESPN Plus. This is the most hilarious act of idiocracy by the NCAA by putting probably the two most known commodities in the nation. They're on the same team, and you put them on a pay to watch, a pay-per-view like subscription site. Put them on national TV.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing there.
I get they're playing WKU.
They're trying to get people to pay for it, I think.
But if you saw the broadcast, if you saw a video, it was a terrible quality broadcast. It was like it looked like it was shot on a camera from the 1990s, and it just looks bad. It looks awful on their part. Maybe they don't I think it's Penny versus the NCAA, so I think it's part that. I don't think the NCAA wants to promote Memphis, which is an awesome thing, by the way. If that's true, I think that's hilarious, and that's something to keep an eye on. But tonight, Kentucky plays Albany tonight. The NCAA is fumbling the bag hard because I think the NCAA, one of the best parts about it, if you want to watch a Power 5 program, you can. If they're playing, you probably can. But now, recently, they've started, throwing them on ESPN Plus. Nobody has ESPN Plus. Let's just be honest. The only reason people have it is for UFC fights. Those aren't college basketball fans necessarily. So I get they're trying to get people to buy it, but people just won't watch it. They'll just end up not watching it or going to illegal streaming sites and watching it, which I'm not telling you to do, but wink, wink, that will probably end up happening. So that's kind of the hill I wanted to die on because I missed the WKU Memphis game. That is a game I was intrigued by. I was heavily intrigued by that game. But let's talk about the Big Ten before I let you go. I do want to talk about the Big Ten. I sent out a tweet. You got upset. You sent out a follow-up tweet, which is hilarious when you do that. When I tweet something out of pocket, completely out of pocket, you will double down, subliminally tweeting me at the input -CL just to make sure everybody knows. This is the smart one of the podcast. So I said the Big Ten sucks. They haven't proven anything to me that shows me that they do not suck. There's been teams in the conference that have kind of, overcame my expectations, like a Purdue. Indiana looks good. I thought they'd be the record they're at now, but they've looked better than I thought they would. So tell me why I am an idiot and why
Ohio State is up 8, by the way.
Okay, they're up 8 right now.
7.
Ranked team.
Look, I just, Matt
Illinois
Jones is one that loves to, take his jabs at the Big Ten, SEC, whatever. It's fine. It's fun. It's what we do. But, people like to point out that they struggle in the tournament, which is fine. But they get no credit for how they started the season and no credit for dominating everybody throughout the year. But that becomes a moot, irrelevant point once the tournament comes around. But now we want to look at the regular season and say that it matters. And we want to just trash them right now. And it's like, well, I thought that didn't matter. If they have 6 teams to make the tournament, but 3 of them get to the Final Four, well, who cares? Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. That's a successful year. Look, Ohio
Wait,
State.
this is the no. I don't know if I can let you get this point off because this is the biggest spin zone I have ever heard in my entire life. So you're saying
That's what you're doing.
you're saying if X equals Y, if they're really good in the regular season, that means they suck in the postseason. But if they're really bad, that means
No,
it'll be that's
that's
not
not
what
what
you're
I'm
saying.
saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying
I
that. I'm just saying
I thought you were doing that. Go ahead.
this is apparently how these things work now. Apparently, the regular season's irrelevant. Doesn't matter what you do. It only matters what you do in the tournament. So basically, my response is, well, who cares what everybody's doing right now? I don't care that Michigan sucks. I don't care. Let's see how they are in March. Let's
That's
see how they're
fair.
doing
No,
then.
that's fair. But you have to realize something. This is what the media does. They
It's
scream
ridiculous.
out your failures and they whisper your accomplishments. That will
It's
always
absolutely
happen.
ridiculous. And
That
only the Big Ten
yeah.
gets this.
No,
Only the Big Ten gets
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
this.
That
Yes,
it
they get
happens in most.
slandered.
It happens in most conferences. You just hear it more because you're a fan of the Big Ten. The Pac-12 goes through this every year, and I feel bad for them. Everybody every year is just the Pac-12
What? Everybody
stinks
gave the Pac-12 their laurels this past year
because they did great in the tournament.
because apparently only the tournament matters.
That's
That's
fair.
fine.
That's fair.
That's what we're
That's fair.
doing. That's what we're doing now. That is what we're doing now.
Wait, so
Regular
you're saying
season's irrelevant.
can I still make fun of the Big Ten's regular season struggles?
No,
Can I?
we can't.
I
We're
can't
not
make
allowed.
fun of them. Not even
We
subliminally.
could have made fun of the Pac-12 all last year because none
We
of the teams
did.
were Oregon State.
We
Oregon State was terrible.
I did.
And look how wrong you were. Just don't. It's not even worth it.
Oh, I did. Look, I do want to say shout out Xavier beating Ohio State. Jack Nungy. Big East may be really good.
They hit the portal pretty well.
So we had
A lot of teams hit the
Fanta.
portal.
We had Fanta on, and that may have been what the Big East needed. Just us having John Fanta on, having one of the best minds in college basketball, definitely the best mind in the Big East. Come on, talk a little bit about them, so we know these teams, and now they're dominating. We were excited about them. UConn looks great. They haven't played anybody, but they are just absolutely dominating people. DePaul, I don't think we said a word about DePaul in the Fanta interview, but they beat Rutgers. We talk about Rutgers a lot. They beat them. Like this conference is insane. And again, look, we'll see. I will try to hold my Big Ten jokes until the end of the season. I'll try to stop that.
What conference is better, Big Ten or the SEC?
Right now, the SEC is better.
Are they?
Yes.
So I'm taking the top two teams in the Big Ten in the rankings, which is Purdue and Illinois. Yep. I'm taking those two teams over anybody in the SEC.
I'm not.
Really?
Look, I think this is kind of the argument. If you're taking Illinois and Purdue as a whole, and you're putting those up against Kentucky and Alabama, right?
That's a sweep.
Obviously, Purdue's the best team, but Kentucky and Alabama are far superior to Illinois in my mind.
Are they?
I think so. I absolutely think so.
I don't know.
I will go down thinking that for sure.
And,
you can disagree if you want.
Their conferences are very comparable because you've got, I don't think Auburn's that good. I don't think Auburn is that good. Like I'm not a big Auburn fan. I think they're,
Florida looks good. Florida looks really good. Florida looks better.
Giving Florida a compliment. Wow.
Well, and for sake of argument, as soon as we're in the SEC,
I'll take IU. I'll take IU against Florida and Auburn right now.
Maybe. Not Florida. I'll give you Auburn.
Not Florida.
Not Florida. I think Florida dominates.
Wow.
Dominates is arbitrary. They win. They win against IU. They pumped Florida State. That was one of the more impressive wins.
Is Florida State that good this year? I don't think Florida
Well,
State's as good as they usually are.
They will be by the end of the year. Like I'll end up putting them in my Final Four by the end.
Well,
of the
the
year.
ACC is bad. I think
Okay,
really
we can talk about ACC is bad. I think SEC and Big Ten are the two best, probably still.
Yes.
Big 12.
I think
Big 12.
Big
Okay.
12.
Yeah. Baylor's still suffocating.
They've only got 3 teams, so
Baylor's
Oklahoma
still
State's
suffocating.
ineligible.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah. Look, the Big Ten did not have a good Gavitt games. Do I think they turned around and dominate the Big Ten ACC challenge? Yes, I do.
I hope
think,
so.
I think they dominate everybody. Does Purdue play Duke? Purdue plays Florida State. Gross.
Who does Duke play? I am interested in this. Michigan, probably.
Michigan.
I can look.
Michigan plays Louisville. Or no, Michigan State plays Louisville. Sorry.
They play Ohio State.
Yikes. Michigan, North Carolina is going to be a good game. I think Duke probably gets a win. But, I don't know if IU's going to win their Big Ten AC matchup because that's just not.
It's not a favorable matchup.
It's a perfect storm.
Like Indiana is better than Syracuse.
Yes.
Syracuse dominates them in the Carrier Dome just because
it's just the Carrier Dome. It's everything about the whole. It's not going to go well. So, but still, I think the Big Ten will be fine. I think this is a little bit of an overreaction, but also just maybe the Big East is better than people thought. And it's
hopefully
really not going to look
cool.
bad. It's not going to look bad in this, what I'm thinking.
That'd be cool if the Big East was good. I would love the Big East to be good. Like, I know Butler's getting destroyed by Houston right now, but like if Butler was good, that'd be awesome. Like, how about another Indiana team be good? Like that would be awesome if there was 3 solid Indiana teams. Notre Dame isn't bad either. But yeah, that would be cool.
It'd be right when the Crossroads Classic is ending.
In the last year
all 4 teams could be good.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Do I think it'll happen? No. I don't. I think the Big East, I'm still not. I still think they're fraudulent, man. It's hard for me. Like, I think
it's early. It's just early. It's hard to buy in on something like that.
I'm not buying in on Marquette. I'm not buying in on Shaka Smart. I'm not. I'm buying in on Villanova, but I'm buying at its lowest point because I think they will be good. I think they'll dominate the Big East, but they're going to UConn's going to be a team that dominates Villanova. Watch out for that. They have athletes, man. They're fun as hell to watch. They beat teams by 80 points. Like, they've been beating teams by forever. So that'll be interesting to watch. Get a daily dose of your Big East watching in. Look, I'm excited about where Kentucky's at. You're excited about where Indiana's at. This is probably the best time for us because we're both having good times watching our respective teams. Last year, different story. Last year, completely different story. So it will be interesting. I'm excited for it. But Connor, thank you for joining me.
Yes.
We'll get back
slowly getting better.
Yeah, we'll get back on a better schedule. We just could not record. I could not pick up the microphone. So thanks again for joining me. Hopefully we get back on before Thanksgiving, but if I don't, I'll just say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy it with your families. And take as much college basketball as you can without it coming in on your family time. But again, thanks for listening. Leave us a rating, subscribe, whatever you're listening on, like, whatever. And love you guys.